Who played sports growing up? What sport did you play, Sergio?
Basketball.
Basketball. Is that why your son's in the basketball then? His son's like a stud basketball player. What did you play? Baseball. Where's all my baseball people? Baseball, raise them high. Of course, Tasha, of course. Does T-ball count? I was obsessed with baseball. Derek Jeter was my favorite player, which was kind of interesting because I didn't like the Yankees, but I loved Derek Jeter. And I played third base. I wasn't afraid to take a hit in the chest, which is why they put me there. And I would essentially just gun them out from third base. In Little League, I had a really good hand. I had a really good mitt. Like I was really fast and everything. When I got to high school, I needed a new mitt. And so our colors were black, white, and blue. So I didn't want a brown mitt because a brown mitt doesn't match your jersey. You know what I'm saying? The brand is off. The brand is off. It was so important to me. So I remember like it was yesterday. My dad took me to the store to get a mitt, and I immediately saw, oh yeah, black glove. And my dad's like, that's not a pitcher's mitt. And I was like, he's like, it's not an infield mitt, it's a pitcher's mitt. And I was like, well, I pitch too. I can use it for infield as well. And he's like, no, don't get that, Travis. And I was like, no, Dad, I really want this mitt. It's badass. It has a little thing. You know, I'm trying to sell him on this mitt and everything. Year prior, I was an 8th grader on the JV team. So I was playing up 2 spots. So when I was in 9th grade, this is when I got the mitt. And my 9th grade year is really where my confidence started to fall apart as an infielder. I had a coach, every time I missed the ball, he's just in the dugout, just like, God damn it, and then it just rattled me. It just rattled me. Then I was like nervous, and I was getting to the point where I'd go out in the field and I'd be like, please don't hit me the ball. Please don't hit me the ball. Please don't hit me the ball. Because I didn't want to let my coach down. I didn't want to let my team down. And more importantly, I didn't want to let myself down. Because I had some like really big dreams at that time. And just like, I don't know, just like every time it would come, it would hit the ground, and it'd just bump up and hit me into the chest. So I had to rely on my arm to throw them out. Anyways, fast forward varsity, region, led the region in home runs, played in a collegiate league, and the coach grabs my mitt and he's like, what is this? And I go, that's my mitt. And he's like, well, that's a pitcher's mitt. He's like, you play third base. Why do you have a pitcher's mitt? And I was like, well, because I like the mitt. And he's like, here's the problem. You see that big old fat lip right there with the big old fat strings? You can't get that thing flat on the ground. So every time a ball is going to come in, it's going to hit it and it's going to bounce up into your chest. My whole heart just sank because I've been using this mitt for the last 4 years, questioning my confidence, questioning, am I really good enough to play at the next level? All because I had the wrong equipment. All because I was so obsessed about what it looked like. Your brand doesn't fucking matter what it looks like if it sacrifices what it's meant to do in the first place, is to perform well. And that's probably one of the hardest lessons I've had to learn in my life, is understanding that just because you want something and you really want it and you're willing to fight your mentor or fight your partner or fight the team or whatever else, doesn't mean that's the best tool. Okay? It's about having the right tools. And I don't look back at it and say, well, I wish this would have happened. It's a learning lesson. It's a learning lesson that I get to take with me. And that's exactly what needed to happen. I needed to learn that. I needed to have something like that really puts things into perspective about stop fighting for these things if everything else is going against it. Okay? And so my question for you then is, where at in your business are you keep wanting something, but it's just not working? Or maybe you're not open for the possibilities of what could be because you want it to look a certain way or feel a certain way, but in reality, it's just sabotaging your growth. And what we do, okay, what we do, and I've done this too, not just in baseball and sports, but all aspects, is like you're trying to follow a system or a process that inevitably is just never going to work at the level you hope it's work at. And then you start questioning yourself. You start beating yourself apart. And it's the worst thing you can do as a human being. And especially as a leader. It's the worst thing you can do as a leader. You got people to lead. You got people to depend upon you. You don't have time to beat yourself up. Being a leader is always hard enough. You already get beat up enough being a leader. You don't need to do that to yourself. So sometimes, when I'm working with people, it's like, hey, we need to be a little bit more fair to ourselves. Because as leaders, we're really hard on ourselves. And so that's what I've come to learn is you don't need anyone else being hard on you. You need someone to be fair to of what's going on. So I bring up the reason why I bring up this story, okay, is, it kind of reminds me of getting into the ads early on. When I got into the ads early on, I talked about it in my breakout session. It wasn't working. And it really ate me apart at the end of the day. And so I then turned to I guess I'm just going to do this organically. And I really did everything I can to make it work organically. But once the ads started working, it just changed everything. And someone said this years ago, and it kind of pissed me off. Anyone said anything that really pissed you off in business? One thing they said is, oh yeah, are you really a business if you're not running ads? Are you really a business if you're not putting yourself out there and paying for some type of publicity? And I was like, fuck you, bro. I'm killing the organic game. But the thing about organic is it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of effort. And so sooner or later, I believe this is what you have to figure out. So I want to share, go into the numbers. And so I put this question up here. What would you be willing to invest into your business if you knew you couldn't lose? What would you be willing to gain in your life if you were willing to invest into your business? And the answer is the same thing, everything, right? So I want to break down these numbers. And so the way I feel like most people go around this with the advertising is they try to sell too soon in the conversation. Yesterday we were talking about the guy at the bar. It's just the perfect analogy. I like to use that analogy. Where's my dating coach? Is he not here yet? Dang, I wish he was here. Okay. Where's Dave at? The other Dave. I love bringing that up because it's such a great analogy. It's like the dude at the bar, he approaches the girl, okay? Hey, do you want to marry me? You're forcing me to make a decision right now, and if you're forcing me to make a decision right now, what's the answer going to be? No. Okay, and I think we do that sometimes in our business. Okay, I love that Dom touched about the 7 touches. Okay, if we don't make those 7 touches, then we force the person to make a decision earlier on in the sales conversation, and what's the answer usually going to be? No. Okay. All right, so this way of approaching it is really leaning into your brand. Okay, it's really leaning into your brand. And so the ad that really changed everything really wasn't something I was like, okay, we scheduled it for 3 o'clock. We're going to be in my pool. When I have my hat on, we're going to have a nice sunny day. It was just something that was right off the cuff that just came to me. That just came to me. And I love what Justin said yesterday because that was an epiphany to me too. Like, are you going to run with it? Are you going to run with the idea? Sometimes we get an idea and we have to let it sit for a while. And how do I feel about this? Does it feel good? Okay. God will give messages to people that are going to put it to existence the fastest. Okay. Running with ideas. And so I got this idea. I whipped out my phone. Okay. And what really triggered it is I was like, because the last ad I tried to run, I did a Trump impression, but they blocked the ad. And I was like, why are they blocking the ad? Fast rewind 4 years ago, and you could say whatever you wanted about anything about, everything. So I was frustrated. And so I just did the Trump. All right, listen here. I've been trying to talk to you, but they keep deleting the ad, okay? We can't talk about Trump, okay? And I started laughing with it. Well, it was really organic. And I was like, I've been trying to talk to you for a while now. I want to get you in front of some really awesome people. So click the link below and let's talk. And I didn't really think what much of a time, but it just took off. I couldn't even keep up with all the messages. And then I was like, man, maybe I really found something here to get me into the conversation, because that's all you need. That's all you need is a chance. That's all you need is a net bat. That's all you need is at least a conversation. Is that how you feel about your business? Just get me into the conversation with a dude. Even if they don't know they need me or want me, just get me into a conversation with them. Is that how you feel? If you don't, man, you're questioning your brand and questioning your business, or maybe you need to find something different, because that's how I feel. Just get me into a conversation with them, okay? So the question is, how can we at least get into that conversation, okay? And in order to get into that conversation, we can't sell stuff. We have to give something, okay? We have to pay money to give people shit. Isn't that weird? Yeah. How many people are willing to do that? Not many. Okay? Those who make the leads make the rules. My free stuff is better than people's paid stuff. Okay? People don't pay me based upon what I'm going to give them. They pay me based on what I've already given them. So I have my values. I have my brand values of how I market. Okay? And then I just plug it away. Okay? So I want to go over here with the numbers with you guys real quick. Okay? Does that sound good? Okay. So this is getting super conservative. So I'm gotta bust out my phone here. Okay. But the question okay, we got it here. So this is based upon, okay, I'm gonna go over 3 different scenarios. Okay, I'm gonna go best case scenario. Best case scenario. $5,000 used over the course of 250 days. How many dollars is that per day? Where's my math people? $20. $20 a day. Do you know how much stupid shit that you could easily spend on $20 a day? You could buy shoelaces for $20 a day. You can buy 3-4 drinks at the gas station for $20 a day. What else can you do for stupid money each day with 20 bucks?
I can buy some amazing burritos and amazing salsa.
Good one. That was a good one. Okay. But I mean, just think about that concept for a second. Just like how much stupid shit you spend each day that realistically you can live without. I don't need the vitamin water every day at the gas station. Do I really? Or am I willing to make that sacrifice? Okay. And so I wanted to paint that in perspective, because sometimes we're like, oh, I don't want to waste money. But then I see you at the bar buying everyone shots, a round of shots. Okay, I see you buying stupid clothes all the time. I see you, like, what do you do? Everyone has a habit. I'm not here to judge. Everyone has a habit that they do that they could realistically live without. You know what I mean? Like, do you really need that? Right? I believe pure happiness is being really happy with nothing. Sometimes, yeah, that's a whole nother conversation I feel like we can get in. So the main point I want to get is, like, you can muster up $20 a day. Okay? And you can have faith in what you're doing. So $20 a day. 250 days is $5,000. So let's say you have a $5,000 service that you're trying to sell. Some of you guys might have higher, some might have lower. Okay, and I can break down the numbers for you. So let's say you were getting a cost per lead at $25. So you weren't even getting a lead every day. Okay, do you know what the average is? I was looking this up. Average lead that a person gets is around $18 per lead. That's what the statistics show. Okay, I have been down as low as $3 a lead. My average is around $8. Okay. So $25 a lead. Okay. So over the course of those days, you would be getting over 200 leads. Hold on, let's back up. Can you guys see this okay? Just change the color. Okay, so cost per lead is $20. Okay, total leads, you'd be getting 200. Okay. Oh, 25. Thank you. Thank you for correcting me. Okay, so 25. Okay, you're getting 200 leads. Let's say your show-up rate is 20%. Okay. How good is a show-up rate of 20%?
What does that mean?
So you got in leads, but the show-up rate to that actual meeting, okay, is 20%. So technically, you're talking to 40 leads. Let's say your close rate sucks. Your close rate's 15%. You'd be surprised how many people actually have that close rate. I think people talk a big game, but I think more people are closer to that than they are above that or lower than that, okay? So essentially, you got 6 total leads closed, but you had a $5,000 product. So from the $5,000 investment, you just made $30,000. Man, that's pretty low. Okay, let's back this baby up. So let's say, okay. Oh, they only let me back it up so far. So let's say that we're a little bit better than that. Okay, let's say our video doesn't suck. Okay, so let's go to the next case scenario. So let's say that you're getting $18 a lead, which is about the average. Okay, which means total leads generated, you have 278. Okay, so show up rate is 35%, so it's a little better. Okay, which means you got 97 leads. Okay, let's say your close rate is more around a normal one, which is 25%, so 1 out of 4 people you talk with. Okay. Now the total revenue we're generating through the process, okay, is over 120K off a $5,000 investment. That's pretty cool. Okay, now let's go like best case scenario. Okay, so let's go best case scenario through this process. So best case scenario is, okay, you're getting a little bit better than the 18. Let's say you're getting 15. It froze. Great. There we go. Okay. So let's say you're getting $15 a lead. Okay. Which some of my worst ones have been $15 a lead, just so you know. So that's still, I think you could do better than that. Okay. You're getting 333 leads. Your show up rate is 50%. So you got 167 leads. Your close rate around the normal, 30%. Okay. So you're closing 50 people at $5,000. You're generated $250,000 inside your business. What do you guys think about that? That's a cooler number, right? Okay, third one. My question to you, but what's the minimum, what's the shittiest thing that would have to happen through this process for you to actually be committed to running ads in your business? Is it doubling it? Is it 1.5? Like what would actually have to happen? Because where do most of your clients come through right now?
Referrals.
Referrals. So if most of your clients come through referral, okay, and that client is breaking even right from the get-go, and you say all your clients should come referrals, then what's to think about here? Okay, so what are we really scared of? And here's what we're really scared of, okay? And it's the same thing I was scared of, and I want Dom to kind of step in. Here's what we're scared of. We're scared of numbers. Yeah, numbers. We're scared of numbers, okay? And it's not that we're scared of numbers. We're scared of that we don't know the numbers. And if you don't know the numbers, then it's really hard to be confident when you go in with it, okay? And that's what I love about what Dom will have you come up here and add to the conversation. But that's what the CRM does. That's what all the tracking does. So earlier on, even though I didn't have all that stuff put together, okay, it still was making it work. But as we started to get into the CRM and see the better numbers and make that comparison, Dom, you want to add to this conversation?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the biggest things that you learn from being in business myself as well is it's the fear of it disappearing. And we have a lot more desire to go buy Starbucks or to go eat our favorite meal or to go spend on a random cheat day at the bar or to do something that we really enjoy than we do to risk the greatest benefit to our business, which is your leads. I met a lot of people, great salesmen, great presentators, great people who can do the best job in what they do, but no one knows who they are. And they'll barely spend the money to make themselves known. And most of that always came down to breaking down the numbers, because as soon as I started focusing on the numbers, I started turning from a person who's like likes and clicks and buys to, I want to know what it costs you to get a customer. As soon as I started focusing on that, every client went from, as soon as they got their numbers, their mind just opened up. Like, oh, it cost me only $300 to acquire a customer. How much money can we spend next month? And I was like, oh shit. All right, hold on that. So you guys have to understand that the fear of not getting to that number, that qualified number that you know it costs for you to acquire a customer, changes your business rapidly. Because that fear you have, like, why would I run ads? Why would I put this out there? Why would I blow this money? Turns into every time I spend $300, I make $1,000. And that's a totally different conversation for you. So that's the one thing I would tell you about the numbers is it's important to get to that point in business eventually, because you stop letting the algorithm and everything else control you and you start taking control of your business. And a lot of businesses never get to that point. So that's what I would say is once you know your numbers, it becomes an extremely comfortable thing. And then you really know what you're willing to risk at the end of the day. And one question you should ask yourselves 1,000 times is, how much would I pay for a customer?
That's exactly what I was just going to go.
Yeah.
How much would you be willing to pay for a customer? One couple hundred? Okay. Let's be specific. How much would you be willing to pay? 200.
300.
So if I said 200, you can get a paying customer. What if I said 250, get a paying customer? 350. Probably top. What if I said 325? No? Okay. So okay. And so this is a conversation I have with I don't know how to quite explain this maybe as good as you do though. And I can't remember who says this. A lot of people say this. They said, whoever spends the most for a customer wins.
Yes.
Yeah, help me explain. Who's ever heard that before? Whoever spends the most for the customer wins. You guys ever heard of that?
So one of the thing that changed my mind in the game was Dan Kennedy, and he said, you should be okay with being the person who spends the most. And I was kind of dumbfounded by that. I'm like, why would you want to be the person that spends the most? The reason why you want to be the person that spends the most is because even though I said what it takes you to get a customer, you never, ever get to that point, so you never understand the metrics past that. How many times do I get a customer and they refer me a single customer? So what is that value of that person now? If every time I get a customer, he refers me one. Okay, now his value goes up dramatically. Now, what is the lifetime value of that customer? Most people only think one transaction deep. Okay, I get that customer one time, they spend money maybe one time, but if over a year, he spends with me 4 or 5 times, I go from wanting to spend $300 for that customer to know he's worth $5,000, not just worth the $1,000 that he gave me that one time in one transaction, because my business is that well. So now when you start paying attention to lifetime value of the customer, you actually start to be able to raise the amount of money you're going to spend on a lifetime valued customer, because it becomes even more valuable to you. 1, referrals, and 2, the lifetime value, not 1 transactional value. And when you start getting those numbers, you're like, man, I'll spend a lot of money. The fund company I work with right now spends around $500 a day. They started, when I first met them, they would be like, I don't want to pay more than $3 a lead. Like, fuck. Okay. Then it was like, I don't want to spend more than $10 a lead. And then after we did the math one time and we broke it down, he went from that to, oh, I'll spend $500 a lead now. And the reason why he understood a $500 lead, it's not just about your business, it's about the marketplace. So can you take over the marketplace? Some people think so small, they're only worried about their customer, but they're not worried about the marketplace. How can I take over the marketplace? If I'm going to be the number 1 person receiving customers in my space, in my whole local area, and I continuously have those customers over years and years and years, how much are they worth to me every time I receive them? How much is, what did Sam say earlier? How much is his reputation worth per client? When you finally get a client and they purchase, and then they're going to use their reputation to go to the next one. How much is their testimonial worth that you did a great job? These are a lot of prices that come per client that we never put in the acquisition. We always stay in a 2-piece acquisition, which is I paid this much and I cost this much per lead, but I never know how much it costs me to turn a lead into a paying customer. So the one thing I would say about that and what he's breaking down is the same thing he goes through every day. It's super funny because he's up here talking about it, but I make a joke with him all the time, like, we need to spend more money now. Right now, Travis, he's like, I don't know. I'm like, dude, our ROI is crazy. We need to spend more money right now. He's like, all right, you spend money. I'm like, all right, got it. Run my ads. Did it. He's like, all right, I'm going to increase my, cool, got it. So once he started to know the numbers, he was like, all right, well, I think we're going to like 4x the spend for brand X this year. Like, let's go. We're going to 4x the spend that we spent last year on this year, because he now looks at the numbers and he's like, this only makes sense now. It's not just about brand X. It's about the customers. It's about the people who get to meet other good people. It's about the commodity that comes when everybody comes to an event and they're meeting all these great people. There's so much money value in that. And so that's at a cost that he has to spend that money per lead or per ticket sold. And we may not even break even per ticket. But after the ticket, after the event, after the networking, after the clients, after the referrals, after the great event, we may 10x the amount of money we spent on that ad alone. But you have to know your numbers. So that's my little piece of that.
Yeah, I was at this event, and this the guy Jason Wojo, he's gonna be speaking at Brandex, and he asked this dude, he's like, "Hey, what's your numbers?" And he's like, "I don't know." And he's like, "How in the hell do you not know your numbers?" Like, he tore this guy apart, and I was like, "This guy's an asshole." I almost got up and left. It was that bad. And the only reason why I didn't leave, I was like, he's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. Like, how are we being so ignorant in our businesses sometimes by not knowing the numbers, right? How are we being so I really reflected on that, because I kind of put myself in his situation, and I was like, that's offensive. But yeah, it's only offensive if my goal isn't to change the world. It's only offensive if I'm trying to play small. It's only offensive if my money is my money and it's no one else's money. Like, you think about the things that we get offended sometimes when it comes to business. It's only offensive if we're not have that big goal and we're following through on that purpose and that thing that we said we know we wanted, and the thing we said we really was going to do at the end of the day. You know what I mean? And you could always know more numbers. That's the thing. Like, even getting into this, I was like, we need to know more of the numbers.
Yeah.
Right? Like, how many people are watching the videos? How many people go to the website? What is that? Like, there's always more numbers that you're always diving into. That was my conclusion. It's like, there's always more numbers you can learn into. And the more you know the numbers, the more you feel confident. And like I was saying, it's the numbers that scare you at the end of the day, right?
Can I throw out a thought?
Yeah.
I'm sitting next to counting my CPA for college when I took accounting, assets plus,
Facts.
right? So playing a strong offense game out there, you still need to know your restrictions. because the world is so competitive. The lifetime value of the customer. John Wooden, the legendary basketball coach, said, "You can win games by defense." And look at the Philadelphia, the reigning champs.
That's a fact.
You play both sides, and that's that your marketing doesn't.
So let me ask you a question. Is it not defense against the world to run ads? Because organic goes against you, your own self goes against you. So why isn't ads a defensive move? Why is it only an offensive move? So for me, it's a defensive move as well. Because in a marketplace, your stuff goes up and down all the time. And what you're defending against is the fact that it will go down, or it will make a move, or it will shift. Google will switch up its algorithm. Facebook will switch it up. So if you do not play defense versus that, you will find yourself being attacked by everything around you.
I just know a lot of clients that's high amount of dollars because their sales might appear high, but they might be hemorrhaging money because of their profit.
Correct. That's why we say know your numbers. And that's why it's so important to you for you to understand the cost per acquisition. A lot of businesses do get into spending marketing advertisements with marketing companies, but they don't really want you to know the numbers. And that's why I don't work with a lot of people in certain manners, is because of the way that I operate in those numbers. It's like, we have to know this and we have to understand the cost. So the numbers for me isn't just the average numbers. The ad numbers, if you have a setter, that's a part of the cost. That changes your numbers. If you have a person who gets a sales commission, that's part of your numbers. So you need to know what it actually costs you to get a lead. And that cost is per the assistant, per the setter. And that's also why I moved to artificial intelligence, because the cost dropped around 90% from having setter employees and having regular closers when you're a one-man team in a smaller amount. And so knowing all of your numbers is important. So you know the cost all the way through the process. If I'm a business that's selling a $10,000 program and I get my lead at $5, but by the time I sell commission and setup happens, I spend $2,000, well, then it cost me $2,000 for that. The ad is just one of the numbers inside your whole internal system.
I had a restaurant client that was a lot of money on, but they're
And I'll actually tell you why I worked with an extreme amount of restaurants. The exact reason why they were losing money is because they put no marketing effort and called the returning customer. So when someone paid from Groupon and they sat in the seat at the restaurant, that is the second piece of their marketing strategy to get them there a second time. And most restaurants never do that. They spend money, they hope the person comes and eats, has a good time, and they let them go, and their marketing campaign starts. But every restaurant I worked with, that when you say you're a first-time customer, they give you a deal, they tell you they want you to come back, and you come back a second time, you come back a third time, then your lifetime value extremely drops. But most people stop at just getting someone in the door in a restaurant. Yeah.
So it's a huge thing. I as a always try. Proud of it.
Yep.
Happy. Another thing. Coach.
Yep. The restaurant owners.
Business owner.
Yep.
I'm like, look, I'm not charging. Place. More job. Once you get your food in it, fucking
Facts.
it drinks down your throat. So have them come back. Have your staff be extra nice.
Facts.
Have them mention whatever else you have going on.
Exactly.
Because like being in a bank vault and not grabbing all the money you can.
Facts. 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 Yeah, so that's the thing about restaurants, that niche, and that's where a lot of people don't really pay attention to, is past step one, which is most people burn a extreme amount of capital in just getting leads, but they don't understand how to burn the capital and bringing that person back, how making sure they set up a phone call. And that's why ads sometimes looks really crazy for people, because they are actually more sad about what they're not going to be able to do with the customer than the fact of what the customer can do for them. So if I spend a bunch of money on ads, that means I'm going to have to call a bunch of people. I'm going to have to talk to a bunch of people. I'm going to have to put on all this energy. And because you don't feel like you're going to do that, ads almost seem like something you never want to do, because it actually gives you more work.
Yeah.
And that's why I always say when it comes to that process is knowing how to hire someone, knowing how to set up a system that works for you, because most people don't do more work in certain places because it actually gives you more work. So be careful about that.
And so I remember, I shared this story the other day. I remember driving to Idaho for 4th of July, and I'm just like on cloud nine. Like, my biggest problem I wanted to have solved is having too many leads. And like, I was like, too many leads. Yes, the problem I've wanted to have forever. right? And then you realize like that's not actually the biggest problem in your business is leads. Because the thing of is like when you're playing the organic level, when you get a lead in, what do? You're like, oh, you wine and dine them, you take care of them, right? It's a scarce modality. And then I think my mindset is I'm getting all these leads is I didn't provide that service of taking care of every single person. And so now it's just like pouring water through this giant filter. Like you're gonna still catch some of the drops in there in between, but the majority of it's still getting bigger. So I believe the majority of the problem that people have is not leads. Okay? Leads isn't your problem. That's what I've seen over the years. I've worked with a lot of people, individual in businesses. I've had a lot of really vulnerable conversations, stuff they don't share on social media, stuff they don't even tell their wife or their spouse. Okay, I'm talking about those conversations. And what I will say is that the process of once we get the lead in is just really horrible. It's just really bad. And it's because our ideology of what a sales process looks like is so skewed. And so we play this really passive role in sales. Oh, I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to be that person. Trust me, you're not even close to that person. Okay, but you're the exact contrast to that person. We got the over pushy person, okay, over here. And then you are so scared of being that person that you step clear on the other side of negativity. And I would choose the pushy salesperson over some people and how passive they are in their business. I absolutely would. Absolutely. If you say, hey, you got to hire 2 salesmen, one's going to be pushy, way aggressive, maybe too aggressive. One's going to be too passive, maybe too passive at times. Yeah, I want that aggressive motherfucker.
Let some people
absolutely. Absolutely, I want him. Because I'm okay apologizing to a couple of people that he offends versus, dude, that person was perfect for us and you let him slip by because he said he needed to think about it, which is a basic objection that everyone should have learned how to overcome at this point in time. You know what I mean? And so what I realized is that the biggest thing is they have to trust the words that are actually coming out of your mouth. Trust is everything, okay? And so it just comes back down to what we've talked about yesterday, which is they need to know you. They need to know your brand. They need to connect with you. They need to love you. They need to trust you. And if you think about the people you trust the very most in your life, think about that for a second. Like, who's the top 5 people I trust? Don't count your family. Okay, that doesn't count. Who are the top 5 people I trust? Okay, Dom. Okay, I trust Eric. I trust Sam, right? Tasha, right? And I can name a bunch of other people. But the reason why I trust them the most is because I know them the most. I know their story. I know their background. Okay? You have to give people an opportunity to get to know you. And I'm not here to say what to share and what not to share, but I feel like if you opened up and you were a little bit more vulnerable, you would find that that's your ultimate superpower. It's your ultimate superpower.
It's the only thing that makes you unique in business.
Yeah.
Everybody does something somebody else does. And people are always trying to figure out how to do that one thing. It's like how to roll this wheel to there different than someone else, rather than how do I put a better rim in there. It's the only thing that's unique to you. The tire will roll regardless. But if someone doesn't know you, they don't attach to you or what you're doing or what we call your belief or purpose. Right? Why you do something is actually way stronger than what you do. That alone is a step towards the secondary position, which is I don't just do real estate, but I do real estate because of my family never owned a home up until I became a real estate agent. This is why I do it. I really want to put other people in their first home. Now that person I trust way better than the guys like, yeah, I sell homes because I make hella money. I'd be like, all right, sounds good. I want this guy because he's going to bring a little bit more passion and his story is a little bit different. And it's like, what can you collaborate with? And so who you are, your story, your background, and why you do what you do has an extreme amount of power in the business because it's one of the only things that you get that is unique about you. Everybody does what you do. Is there anybody in here that does something that they don't think anybody else does in the whole world? You? What do you do that no one else does in the whole world?
I put on the spot. What I do something different than everyone else does is I don't provide any.
There's hella businesses that don't provide no solutions. There's hella businesses. No solution businesses. Yeah.
I thought about that. You know, there's a line for people to be homeless. There's a line. Every single amount.
Facts. Facts. You're the only, your story, your background, what you've been through, how you collaborate with somebody is the only thing that is unique in most businesses. And people are still afraid to make that the main subject. Because in the world of what we call the follower list, is what I call it in marketing, is we all see what everybody else is doing in our niche, in our industry, and we follow it. But we never grasp a hold of the fact that most businesses fail. Not all, most. So I always make jokes. As I was talking to him the other day, I was like, don't put your face or the house you're always selling all over your advertisements, because every real estate agent does that. And it's everywhere. And when you look at the statistics of how many real estate agents absolutely fail, most real estate agents follow the same exact path of marketing over and over and over again. And it has a history of failure. But you'll get into a real estate group, they're like, do this. And you're like, that's what I'm going to do. And then you do it and you're like, it's not working. They're like, just do it harder. I used to be like, yo, that's so crazy. It's the craziest thing to do. It's better to stand out the side and watch your peers laugh at you. And I guarantee just that laughter alone will take you to another level. Because if you sit in the middle, you'll be the fattest thing around.
Lean into that brand, man. Lean into that brand. Don't overcomplicate your business, okay? Lean into your brand. Lean into those things that you believe. And I've had the opportunity to share a lot of stories. I absolutely love doing this. It's so fun to sit down and map it out and put it together. And you know, that's what I love about Josh. Most video guys are just like button pushers, honestly. They just push the button, you tell me what to do. But here's the thing, most people don't know what to do to begin with. So you're asking someone that doesn't know what to do to push a button when you don't even know where you want to go with it. It mind blows when someone says, I just need a videographer. Well, did you learn all the things to do this? Like, you need more than that. And that's why I really appreciate about Josh. He's a producer, he's a director. And it's like, well, you're a director, so how do you have two directors on set? You always need two eyes. You always need different eyes looking at it. The truth of it is, you're never, ever going to trust and fully believe in your brand until you have different eyes on the matter, seeing it from different angles, okay? Giving their honest perspective of what they see.
Facts.
Because you could be crazy, which entrepreneurs, we are in fact very crazy. Especially to W-2 employees, right? Right? We are in fact very crazy.
Wild.
Okay, and we think they're crazy too, just in a different way, right? We're all crazy. And so we gotta make sure we get different eyes on that. And I had an opportunity to meet Tasha last year. She spoke at the Mastermind, she spoke at Brand X. Tasha's a badass. Every time I hear more about her, I was like, I just love you, Tasha. She shoots guns, she coaches her boys basketball team and beats up on all the other teams. And they get embarrassed because Tasha's the coach, you know, which would kind of be embarrassing, like, you know.
He's got to be my girl coach.
Yeah. But she has a crazy story. It was an absolute honor, Tosh, to help you through it. It was fun. We put a lot of work into it, and I'm really excited the way it comes out. Top women entrepreneur in Arizona 2 years in a row. Yeah, let's give a round of applause. CEO of Olive Cleaning Company. She's going nationwide, franchising. She's going to take that thing and take the next level. She's incredible at sales. She's an incredible networker. She's president of a networking group. And make sure you stay connected to Tasha.
She's somebody you absolutely
need. You absolutely need to stay connected to Tasha. Don't fuck with her.
Facts.